Welcome everybody, and welcome to the people who are watching on YouTube tonight. Roll call, please.
Mayor Louis Trujillo.
Present.
Councilor David Romero.
Here.
Councilor Michael Montoya.
Present.
Councilor David Ulibarri Jr.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a quorum.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Montoya, would you care to lead us in a moment?
Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for all those people that have gone before us. I saw the optic today. There was 5 people that passed on to a better life. We pray that they're for their families, and we also ask for guidance in our positions as councilors and mayor. We thank you, Lord, for all the staff, for all the hardworking people in the city of Las Vegas that give up their extra time to all our citizens in Las Vegas.
Thank you, Mr. Montoya.
Mr. Mayor, next item on the agenda, approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Romero made a motion. Second.
Second?
Second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Councilor Montoya.
Yes.
Councilor Ulibarri Jr.
Yes.
Councilor Romero.
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Romero, a second by Councilor Ulibarri Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, is mayor's appointments and reports.
I'll forego that right now. Thank you, Cassandra.
Next item is councilors' reports.
Councilors? Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Montoya, go ahead.
I would just like to report to Mayor and Council and our citizens of Las Vegas that our manager and myself and Ms. Loretta Martin, our borough, met with Larissa Archuleta, the superintendent for East Las Vegas City Schools, and I'm wanting to see if we can join a street from Old National Road over to Cinder Road. And Las Vegas City Schools owns that property. So she will be taking it before her governing body up there, the school board, and see what they think about that. This would alleviate traffic in that area, and of course the city would have to acquire funding down the road for the road, curves, sidewalks, lighting, and some fencing along the schools, the old school, Memorial Middle School, and also the drainage. They are going to continue having sports activities in the soccer field and football field, baseball fields, as well as West Las Vegas. So this would help out that area. It also would be another access to Mills Avenue. So it's just in its early stages. We'll see what happens. Excuse me. The other request that I had was see what they were going to do with the playground equipment that's at Legion School, and see if they donate it to Hanna Park or other parks within the community that don't have any. Of course, there's a process for that too, that people that are qualified would have to disassemble and assemble. It's a liability issue. But she's going to take it before their governing body, and she'll let us know further down the line, see what needs to happen there. The other issue that I want to bring before Mayor and Council is you know, I've gone through the River Walk and gotten a tour, and there's a presentation down the road on this meeting, the agenda. But I met our manager, William Trader, and myself met with a spokesperson from P&M, and the Riverwalk Committee Alliance is also interested on a piece of property that's a triangle property behind Highlands that the P&M uses for storage of poles. And I'm checking into it, see if we could acquire that for the Riverwalk. That would be a nice area for almost anything. And it's it's a good triangle. But at the same day, we also asked about the old P&M building, and at one time, they had set up a meeting with the previous administration, and that never happened. So we're trying to see what information we can obtain about the building and what they're going to do with it, and maybe the city would be interested in it. I don't know. The other item that we did discuss was your program, Mr. Mayor, that the volunteers are wanting to take upon, painting bridges and painting murals in town, beautifying our city. She was pretty interested on that. They do have grants for stuff like that. So she was pretty excited, actually.
That's
And
good.
this is Jamie Aranda from P&M, and she has her office in Santa Fe. And she is going to be getting back to us on those projects and see what the response is on them.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for doing all that work. Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next item is mayor's recognitions and proclamations. And we do have one proclamation for Women's Suffrage Centennial Year.
Yes, and I'd like a woman to read it. Cassandra,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
do you have it in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you come to the mic?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Whereas New Mexico women of every background have led movements for social change, not only to secure their own right of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also to create an impartial and just society for all. And whereas countless New Mexico women work for suffrage through participation in state and local chapters of the General Federation of Women's Clubs, the Women's Christian Temperance Union, the National American Women's Suffrage Association, the Congressional Union, later the National Women's Party, as well as in churches, school halls, and across backyard fences. And whereas suffragists struggled, organized, and strategized millions of women in effective advocacy efforts across the country to promote voting rights for women for over 72 years, and whereas many women in communities of color in New Mexico were unable to participate in the suffrage movement and waited many years for laws to be passed in order to exercise their right to vote freely, and whereas prominent suffragists, example Alice Paul, United States Carrie Chapman Catt, United States Nina Otero Warren, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Senator Andreas A. Jones, Las Vegas, New Mexico, Governor Octaviano Larzolo, Las Vegas, New Mexico, and Aurora Lucero White Leah, Las Vegas, New Mexico, influenced government officials at the national, state, and local levels to support a federal amendment for women's suffrage. And whereas after organized efforts by New Mexico suffragists, New Mexico became the 32nd of the 36 states needed for ratification on February 21st, 1920. And whereas the centennial affirms the importance of persistence and courage in fighting for democratic freedom, equality, and justice. And whereas August 26, 2020, Women's Equality Day is 100 years after millions of women gained the right to vote for the first time in the 1920 presidential election. And whereas in November 1920, newly enfranchised New Mexico women moved rapidly into active voting and political activism. Now therefore, I, Louis A. Trujillo, Mayor of the City of Las Vegas, along with members of the governing body, hereby proclaim the year 2020 as Women's Suffrage Centennial Year and encourage all people of the city to celebrate the achievements of women by commemorating the year with appropriate programs and activities. Thank you,
That's
Mr.
really a
Mayor.
lot of important work. Are you here to accept the
I
proclamation?
am.
Come on over, please.
I'm not quite dressed yet. We'll make it work.
And if you could please introduce yourself.
Okay. Just hold that right there. Hi, I'm Sonia Berg. Can you understand me through the mask? Good. I have been working on the women's suffrage movement now for about a year and a half. And there were many events planned. And course, many of them were unplanned.
Yes.
So I asked the mayor and also the county commission if they would do a proclamation about the women's suffrage movement, and both of them were very cordial. I was at the commission yesterday and then was invited to be here today to accept this proclamation.
Well, thank you, and thank you for keeping the spirit alive.
Yes.
After 100 years, that's something that we cannot forget about.
Right.
Yeah.
They struggled for 72 years prior to getting it passed. It was introduced into the U.S. Congress 42 times before it was finally passed. And do I have just a few more minutes? Sure. A couple more minutes? I want to just call your attention to 3 people from Las Vegas that were hugely influential in the suffrage movement. We'll start with the highest level one, Senator Aristus A. Jones. He came here from Tennessee, was an educator. The building on Douglas Street, across from the Las Vegas school building there, that was where he started teaching and was the principal. And then he decided to study the bar, go to law school. He passed the bar. He was a territorial Supreme Court justice. He ran for mayor of Las Vegas. So the city hall down on, is it 5th or 6th Street?
6th Street?
Right across from the drugstore, which was where his law office was. And then, of course, as mayor, he would have been presiding mayor. And he lived on 5th Street in a home that's now where Sarah and
Jay?
Yes, Jay.
Yeah.
Yes, where they live. So his footprint is all over this town. And he was elected to the U.S. Senate in 1916. He replaced Catron, Senator Catron. And when he got to D.C., he was appointed to be the chair of the Senate Select Committee on Woman Vote. And he was very much responsible for getting it through both the House and the Senate. So and he's buried here at the Masonic Cemetery. He was a Mason here as well. I've seen him, his name's in their books and all. The next one would be Aurora Lucero. Her father was Antonio Lucero. He was the publisher of the La Voz del Pueblo, and he was also pretty active in politics. And when we became a state, and with Governor McDonald, he was the first Secretary of State. And Aurora was his daughter. She was born near here, I don't know exactly where, but basically in Las Vegas. She went to New Mexico Normal School, got a degree in pedagogy. She was she was bilingual, and she won debate contests, and she was a fantastic speaker. When her father went to Santa Fe, she thought she would stay here. But after going a few times, and she saw how lively it was there, and all the parties and the dances, she decided, well, I think I'll just go there too. And so she was at several of the major rallies in Albuquerque and Santa Fe as one of the speaking, spoke to the people because they knew they needed the Hispanic women because of the numbers of Hispanics and their political power. So she was very influential. And Octaviano Larrazola was the 4th governor of New Mexico. He was a lawyer here. He was actually born in Mexico, came here from Mexico, and was a lawyer, and he was elected as the fourth governor. He was a Republican, and they ran on a platform that year of supporting the suffrage movement. But when they all got in office and they got in the legislature, they said, well, we didn't really mean we were going to do that. So the session ended. Governor Lorenzolo called a special session, and then we come to the most famous suffragist. By the way, in America, we were suffragists. The suffragettes were in England. Same purpose, but different name. Again, Nina Otero Warren came from a very important family. I think it was either her uncle or a cousin. I should know this. I need to look it up and get it in my brain. Was one of the territorial governors. And so she became very active in the suffrage movement. And when the special session was called, she was the chair of the Republican women. And she was allowed to go into the caucus, the Republican caucus, which is unheard of. And the word is that, or the myth, or the legend is that she locked the doors and said, when you guys make up your mind, I'll let you out. Anyway, at the end of 3 hours, they decided. And so that was on February the 21st, 1920, when New Mexico ratified it. And then, of course, the 36th state was Tennessee, and the 19th Amendment was written into the Constitution on August the 26th of 1920.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of history of it.
Thank you, Mrs. Bird. We appreciate you being here and offering our community the education. Please accept this proclamation.
Yes, I need somebody to take a picture for me.
Okay.
Who likes to take pictures? Who can help me?
Thank you, Mrs. Burr. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you
so much. Absolutely.
Good to see you.
Please come visit us again.
Well, I think I'm hanging around because I want to hear what Leah's got. has to say.
Well, hang around. You're welcome to.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you for your help, Cassandra. Mr. Montoya, did you have a
Yeah,
comment?
you know what, Mr. Mayor, I'd be remiss if I wouldn't mention that this last week we did, with the assistance of the Recreation Director, Mr. Aragon, and our city manager, and other directors that showed up, we did have a unveiling of the sign, a new sign across City Hall, and that was for the rec center, because there was only a small sign in front of the rec center, and now it's we're being more transparent and letting people know, and visitors that come to Grand Avenue know that we exist and that there's a facility there for them to utilize. And I'd like to just thank all people involved, all employees involved in beautifying that area. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Montoya. They did a wonderful job. It looks beautiful. Cassandra, thank you for helping to read the proclamation.
Certainly, Mr.
Appreciate
Mayor.
it.
Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for July 8th, July 15th, and July 30th of 2020.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor, approval of the agenda on July 8th, July 15th,
and July 30th, 2020.
It's a motion by Mr. Ulibarri,
Second, Mr. Mayor.
second by Mr. Montoya. Roll call, please.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Ulibarri Jr., a second by Counselor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, is public input, and I have no public input for today.
Okay.
So the next item would be presentations, not to exceed 10 to 15 minutes. And our presentation is by Ms. Leah Knudsen with Hermit's Peak Watershed Alliance, providing project update.
Welcome, Rita.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Is that okay if I take this off?
Sure. And thank you for all the work you do for our community.
Well, before I get busy in the presentation, I do want to thank the city. You've all been so wonderful in the last 6 months, and you've all had such a great, let's get her done attitude.
Yeah.
So I very, very much appreciate that on the
Absolutely.
part of everybody in the city.
Thank
I could
you.
name names, but it's pretty long.
Well, we appreciate your work too.
You bet.
And your group.
Thank you very much. Let me know if you can't see something. I know some of the colors aren't great. In case you don't know me, I am Leah Knudsen, the director of the Hermit's Peak Watershed Alliance. We've been a local nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit organization in Las Vegas for 10 years, and we work in the Gallinas, the Sapeo, the Tecolote, and the Lower Mora watersheds. So we have an over 1,500 square mile landscape that we work in. Let's see. I'm sorry, our mission is we work to protect and restore the ecological and cultural heritage of watersheds in the Hermit's Peak region through ecological restoration, environmental education, and community action. One of the major projects that we started in 2015 was to revitalize, I'm sorry, should I stand closer? Is to revitalize the Gallinas River Park right in the center of Las Vegas. Bill Hendrickson and I started working on this together with the EDC and a number of other organizations, including the city, back in 2015. And I'm really happy to say that 5 years later, we are rolling. There's a lot happening. Hermit's Peak Watershed Alliance has acted as the fiscal agent. We've actually provided funding for some of the park, and we've also facilitated a lot of the work that's happened. But it's really been a community-wide effort. Some of the goals of the park that we've come up with kind of organically as this is developed is to create a beautiful, inviting, and invigorating park for our residents and our visitors. Another goal was to engage the community in caring for our river and our park. So it's very much a hands-on, let's get everybody involved in the work. Of course, the part of the project that's near and dear to my heart is to restore healthy rivers and riparian areas as the centerpiece of the Gallinas River Park. Part of that goal involves improving water quality, mitigating floods and droughts, improving fish and wildlife habitat, yes, right in town, and restoring the look, sound, and feel, and function of a healthy river. So we have actually accomplished quite a bit. I feel like it was a little slow to get started, but we're on a roll right now. We formed the Gallinas River Park Collaborative, so you'll hear about them. They're representatives of lots of different entities in Las Vegas that are interested in the effort. We held a community design workshop to set the style of this restoration work. We completed 1/3 of a mile of river restoration work that I'll show you a little bit more about later. We installed 2 interpretive signs and have 5 more that are ready to get installed, hopefully in the next few months. We installed a wayfinding sign right at Bridge Street and landscaped the garden right there at Bridge Street as well, as one of the entrances to the park. Overall, we've secured $1.1 million towards an estimated budget of $6.5 million. So we're on the road, have a ways to go yet. The community design workshop that I talked about earlier was in October of 2018. It was a National Endowment for the Arts grant, and we had designers from around the country come and facilitate the community in developing their vision for what they really wanted the park to look like. We came up with a really nice template, and we've been moving forward with making that template more and more specific as we go on so that we could actually build it. The river restoration work that we completed already was, we called it the Rewinding the Gallinas project, phase 1, and it was funded by the Environment Department, the River Stewardship Program, and we finished it last year. It's the section between Bridge Street and the second footbridge downstream as you walk along the river. And we had a kind of a ditch going through town. It was a straight river, not a lot of habitat for fish and wildlife. That's what we started with. That's another before on the left and a current condition on the right. So we added some wiggle back in the river. We added fish habitat with pools and falls. We added gurgle to the river.
Yeah.
It wasn't making any sound before, and now it makes sound. To me, that's really important,
Yes.
and I think to lots of other people. It's a beautiful place now, and it's a place that the river is happier, and I think everybody's excited to see that. Oh, you're not seeing the richness of that photograph, but it's a lovely spot where a number of people like to sit and take refuge from our crazy lives. Again, we did complete 2 interpretive signs. They were done by West Las Vegas students who helped to create the design and the content. And then we have 5 more that are being developed, like the one on the right. Hopefully you'll see those soon. We did stormwater treatment, lots of different structures, but these 2 rain gardens that are in the West Las Vegas parking lot, they collect rainwater, bring it in through those rain gardens, drive it underwater, filter the water before it gets to the river, so it's nice and clean and cool before it gets to the river. Then we did a kiosk garden with a wayfinding sign, and I really apologize, that photo's not the greatest. You can see the kiosk. This is right on the east entrance to the park, right at Bridge Street. We did recently landscape it, so that photo doesn't really represent the best of the landscaping. And then we did paint a 3D crosswalk over on Prince Street just to get a feel for, would this be a fun thing to do? It seems kind of fun. I'm not sure if we'll pursue it again in other places, but it was part of our lighter, quicker, cheaper efforts. And these 2 things were pop-up events that were also lighter, quicker, cheaper. You try some things with a temporary installation, see how it works, see if we like it. There was a straw bale amphitheater at our last Riverfest, and we wanted to try out that location for an amphitheater. We concluded it wasn't the best location. So no skin off our teeth. We'll be able to move it now someplace else, but we tried it out and discovered it didn't work. So that was a good part of it. Plus we had a cardboard box playground for the kids to try that out, and that was a booming success. We also had West Las Vegas students and Robertson students build 6 bat boxes, and we had a couple volunteers help to install them on the Riverwalk. You'll see those at the south end of the park. We've had 3 Gallinas River Fests, and we will have a very small one this year with small groups touring the river and learning about different parts of the park. Of course, we've had a number of cleanups that have been super well attended, and to the extent possible, we'll continue that work just to make sure we have a park that we're all really proud of. Ooh, that's all warped. I'm sorry. The trash cans aren't that fat and short. I'm sorry. But anyways, we did install one and have done private fundraising to have 6 more built by a local business, and they're going to be installed by our Parks Department in the next couple weeks. So we'll have 7 trash cans. That was the first thing everybody asked for. So in a few weeks, we'll have a good start at that. Just to go over again the cost for the park, these are estimates, and we did our best job with them, but just to give you an idea of we're shooting big here. I mean, you know, it's not just do a little bit here, put a trash can in there. We really want to have a park that we're all proud of and we all want to spend time at. So the park amenities we've estimated at almost $2.8 million. And the river restoration is pricey, but it's really important work. But that also includes treating stormwater before it comes down to the river, $3.7 million for a total of $6.5 million. And that estimate is likely to change as we get moving on. So we've had 3 pretty successful years getting funding, and we're pretty proud of that. And look at that 2020 number, we're only halfway through. We have a number of projects that are right now funded and underway. Am I doing okay on time? I'm sorry. Is it okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm getting close. Let me just try to run through this quickly. Sorry you can't see it very well. The most important project that's going on right now is the construction drawings. We had a conceptual design, and with the help of the city and the county and our state legislature, we came up with funding for Amy Bell of Groundwork Studios to develop shovel-ready drawings for mills to prints. So we will be ready to start building. We'll have budgets in place so we can all fundraise and get grants to now make this thing happen. So that's the most important thing that's happening right now. A number of you are on the committee to help guide that process. The interpretive signs we've talked about, trash cans. We are doing weekly walks on Saturday mornings, so please come out and talk with us about what's going on. We will have a small river fest. As I said, that last one, super hard to read. New Mexico State Forestry, we got a grant from them to landscape an arboretum area right next to the recycling center. That we're just starting right now. We did get funding from the New Mexico Environment Department to start our next Rewinding the Gallinas River Restoration Project, $458,000 grant that will finish out the restoration work from the second footbridge down to Prince. We're going to redo that wetland that farmland feeds, so we'll have duck habitat and fishing habitat, nice open water area for everybody to enjoy. We do have an MOU in place already with the city, so we're ready to move forward with that. We are doing vegetation management in the bosque. We're doing planning for that. The fire department came to us concerned about the fire risks, partly related to the homeless population that's down there, and we have been doing some planning with Thierry Montes and the fire department and others to plan how can we make the bosque a little bit safer to protect it from fire. And we are working on that. Together with the county and the city, we obtained a tourism department clean and beautiful grant, and that's going to help us do some irrigation, put in drinking fountains, and engage our local youth in keeping the river park clean. I'm sorry that the one you can't read is really important. We got $238,000 from the state legislature from capital outlay, and the city's going to be managing those funds. We're really hoping to build an amphitheater and at least parts of a playground.
Awesome.
And we're working on the designs for that right now. Lodgers tax, they did just last week make a recommendation to provide almost $20,000 for park benches. So we are rolling. A few funding needs that we have next that we'll be searching for dollars for are barriers to eliminate vehicle traffic on the path, which is dangerous and problematic. We'd like to add picnic tables and lighting and landscaping and trails and you name it. Anyways, we're really excited to be part of this, and I think it's going to be a shot in the arm for Las Vegas. It's a really great thing for our community, and I think it looks good on everybody. Thanks for the city for helping to be part of it.
Leah, could you possibly mention some of the people who are involved with your group? I know there's many, but
Yeah.
the core group that's been helping you?
Absolutely. Elizabeth Wadros, she would have been here, but she's on quarantine, coming back from California. So she's really the facilitator, the point person. So if there's really something you want to talk about, give Elizabeth a call. I have staff of Amina Senna, Richard Pratt, and Jacob Erickson. Jacob Erickson is putting together videos about the park that will be able to promote what we're doing. The Gallinas River Park Collaborative is a big group.
Yeah.
Paul Stagner is a really amazing volunteer. He's with the Las Vegas Tree Board. Carol Bess has been helping us put stormwater treatment work together and harvesting stormwater. To go the next level, I think there's just a lot of other
Yeah.
people. Lots of, Stephen Nattagon with the city has been absolutely amazing.
It's
Thank
good to
you
hear.
for him.
Absolutely. Leah, please share my gratitude with the entire group
Okay.
and invite me to one of your meetings.
Absolutely.
I'd like to thank you in person.
Okay.
You've done a wonderful job.
We're probably going to have a River Park Collaborative meeting on Zoom in the near future, so I'll do that.
Let me know.
Mr.
All right.
Mayor.
Questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for coming and informing Mayor and Council and the community of what's going on over there, because that's very important. You guys are doing a lot of work. I've gone through your tour with yourself and Ms. Juarez, and you guys all have great ideas, and there's a lot of people behind it. And I think it's a beautiful project that's going to happen down the road. We also asked PNM if they would help us out with lighting for the
Okay.
river walk, to make
Great.
it more safer for whomever uses it.
That's great.
Um,
Thank you for that.
Because they do have access to grants and credits and stuff like that. But I was pretty shocked, as to what you guys have done so far. And I hadn't walked the river walk in probably, a long time. I can't even remember the last time. But, there was a lot of excitement that Ms. Juarez had about everything that's happening. I attended a couple of their meetings. As a matter of fact, I'm one of your members now.
Right.
And I'm excited too, because there's a lot of happening there. And I think that at the end, I think that it's going to help our youth, our high school kids, our elderly, our handicapped. And I think it's going to be a place for everybody to enjoy. And instead of just having a bosque that's closed out. And I know we've had a lot of issues with the homeless and so forth, and the mayor has addressed those issues. And we're going to be having more policing in that area and stuff like that with our new chief. So I thank you for coming and keeping us above of what's going on. And come back anytime and let us know what the progress is.
It's such a great project to bring this community together. We haven't had any negative feedback at all. People on all sides, young and old and east and west, and it really is bringing us together, county and city and the whole thing.
And Mr. Mayor, also, our city staff are looking, our legal section are also looking into the boundaries for where the city of Las Vegas owns that property and which one is privately owned and so forth. And at the same time, we're working for the entrances to the park to identify who they belong to and what accessibilities has in different areas between Independence and Mills Avenue. Because there is a few entrances that can be there. And we're also addressing, the city manager and economic development director are addressing some of those issues that we have there with some homes that are vacant, that are a nuisance, and we're dealing with that. So little by little, day by day, we'll get things done.
I think we make a great partnership. We have a nonprofit and a municipality and everybody else. It's a great team. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. I have a special guest. Who do we have with a dress on?
So this is Phoebe. You're a little bit asleep, aren't you?
Hi.
This is Phoebe.
Hi, Phoebe. Hi, Phoebe. You dressed her up for the
I
occasion.
did.
Let me see her. Oh, hi, Phoebe. Hello, Phoebe. You're a sweet puppy, huh? Oh, look at that dress. And who are you?
So my name is Archer. I am the manager of the AWC Pet Center. And so doing so, I kind of help around the office with Tina, who's our main director and an amazing woman. And I help by, taking phone calls, doing public relations, and just overseeing the staff there. But also making sure that our furry friends here can get adopted. Now, Phoebe here is a special case. Phoebe here is heartworm positive. And that's kind of a scary thing when we, go into the shelter setting. Heartworm is something that any dog can have at any point in time because it is transmitted by mosquitoes. Everybody's favorite little critter. So Phoebe is here today to kind of show that even though she's heartworm positive, she is still a very adoptable dog. But also to kind of be a spokesperson to be, letting people be aware that you can prevent heartworm. So there's steps to take, heart guard and things to give them every month so that they don't go through, heartworm. Because heartworm is very, very rough on the system. They have to basically be confined to a crate until they're ready to, be out again. Because it's basically worms eating through their heart. And luckily enough, when she came into us, she didn't have any worms present. We were able to get her on medications, and she's on the road to recovery.
Her dress is a little tight. She eats a lot.
You should see her brother. But she's healthy. That's the good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And she also has a brother that came in here with her, and he, fortunately enough, was not heartworm positive, which is very amazing considering that she was, because if a mosquito bites a dog that's heartworm positive and then bites the next dog's going to be infected with it. And it's transferred by blood, kind of like tick-borne diseases, and we have West Nile, stuff like that.
So what kind of dog?
So,
Looks like a Rottweiler.
Las Vegas mix.
Shepherd, yeah.
Shepherd mix is what we had put in.
Neighborhood mix.
Oh, yeah. Maybe a little bit brought in there, but she is such a sweet dog.
She is.
She would lay down by your fire, lay on your lap if you let her, and she definitely loves food, as you've noticed.
She likes food. Your dress is tight. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you for letting me come here.
Absolutely. So come by and see Phoebe. Take her home. She needs her home. Or drop off some food,
Yes, we
hay,
can always take donations.
blankets,
bleach.
food, bleach. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You too. Bye, Phoebe. What a cute dog.
Yeah,
And she's nice. She wants to stay.
she does. She likes it.
Cute. Ready to go to the dance. Thank you, Cassandra.
Mr. Mayor, next item on the agenda is business items. Item 1, conduct a public hearing and approval, disapproval to adopt ordinance 20-06 to amend the code of the City of Las Vegas Labor Management Relations Ordinance by deleting and repealing Chapter 48, Sections 1 through 22. We have our City Attorney, Scott Aaron, to present on this, and I would ask that we go into public hearing.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Romero.
make a motion to enter the public hearing.
It's a motion by Mr. Romero, second by Mr. Montoya.
Councilor Ulibarri Jr.,
Yes.
Councilor Montoya,
Yes.
Councilor Romero.
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Romero, a second by Councilor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And I would ask anybody that's going to speak on this issue, to please stand so that I can swear them in. In this case, I will swear the city attorney in. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, repeat your name for the record.
Scott Aaron,
Do swear to tell the truth
do swear to tell the truth
during my testimony to council tonight.
during my testimony to council tonight.
Welcome, Mr. Aaron.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Mayor, council may have heard this in the news. It made national news, actually. In early 2020, the state legislature overhauled the collective bargaining laws here in New Mexico. The governor signed them into law. And as part of that, what is going on is the state level labor relations boards are taking a bigger, kind of more aggressive role, and they are petitioning to have a lot of the local labor boards decertified. Indeed, that happened here in Las Vegas. There was a petition filed to decertify our local labor board. Our local labor board has not been functional in a while, so that wasn't a surprise. But the reason why we're doing this is basically in response to this petition to decertify, so that the city doesn't have any intention of going into this hearing and trying to fight for our local labor board. We wouldn't win anyway. So I'm here before the council to submit this to mayor and council to have this portion of our city code repealed. And there's actually a hearing tomorrow morning, and so if this gets approved tonight, signed off on, I will be getting that over to them first thing in the morning, so that at that point, the case will just be moot, and we won't have to proceed any further.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council? Any questions? Mr. McToy?
Mr. Mayor, we would close public hearing.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Would anybody?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Make a motion to exit the public hearing.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Romero, second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Councilor Montoya?
Yes.
Councilor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Councilor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Romero, a second by Councilor Ulibarri Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you. Do we have to act on it now, or?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I make a motion for approval to adopt ordinance 20-6 to amend the code of the city of Las Vegas labor management relations ordinance.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Romero,
Second, Mr. Mayor.
second by Mr. Romero, by Mr. Montoya. Roll call, please.
Councilor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Councilor Romero?
Yes.
Councilor Montoya?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Romero, a second by Councilor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is approval, disapproval to publish ordinance number 20-07 to amend the code of the city of Las Vegas, chapter 148, section 5, subsection I, entitled fees. And once again, we have our city attorney, Scott Aaron.
Okay, Mayor and councilors, with this ordinance 20-07, basically what we're doing is we're bringing more current, more modern our fee structure as it relates to the vacant building maintenance license that we have here in the city. That's a particular program that it doesn't appear that it's been used much in the past, but with the addition of our new code enforcement personnel, we've been moving on those, but prior to sending out any notices, we wanted to update our fees to reflect what the other municipalities up in our area of the state have done. And there's been some white papers written about this. This is just, when this law was put into effect, the fees were considerably lower. And what we're trying to do is set up a fee structure such that it encourages building owners in Las Vegas to not let their properties remain vacant. And so that's put it for your submission tonight.
So I do have a question, Mr.
Yes.
Aaron. So this would be a fee that vacant building owners would have to pay the city on a yearly basis?
Yes, they would actually have to obtain a license. They would have to apply for a license if their building was vacant, and they would have to maintain that license each year that the building was vacant.
Does that include homes, properties?
It includes residential as well as commercial, business, and industrial properties. So basically, not unimproved lots. Obviously, if you just have a lot, there's no structure on it, there's no improvements, it wouldn't apply to that. But if there's a building, there's an edifice on your property, then you would be subject to this vacant building maintenance license.
And what is the cost of that license proposed?
Well, initially, there's a fee of $50 that the city would charge to accept and process that application, because we've got to send representatives of the city, potentially police, fire marshal, code enforcement, to go check out the property to make sure that there's not any dangers. So there's some cost to the city up front. The fee structure is different for commercial, business, and industrial properties. The first year would be $300 for for commercial, business, and industrial properties. For residentials, it's $150. So we've got it structured so that would be appropriate depending on whether it's residential or non-residential.
Okay, and again, I just want to stress that I read the ordinance, it does apply to people who own vacant homes, abandoned homes, vacant business properties, or industrial properties.
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Romero.
Mr. Aaron, I just had one question, because when I first got elected, I did ask about this ordinance because we weren't, well, it's been in place, but we weren't enforcing it, basically. And I recall the $50, it was $50 back then, was it? So what changed?
What changes is the yearly license fee. So you pay $50 when you submit your application. That application is processed by the city. If the city makes a determination that indeed you need a license, then you've got an annual license fee depending on whether you're commercial or residential.
And I think the other important thing to note on this is that they're required to have insurance for if one of these abandoned buildings falls down, injures somebody, they're liable and the city doesn't incur that liability. The question that I had is, this is depending on the property owner to be a good citizen and say, well, I have an abandoned building, let me apply for that, the license. What are we doing to ensure that, because we have so many property owners that don't even live here, so how are we going to ensure that those property owners are going to apply for this? Are we going to send them notices that say, hey, there's this ordinance in place?
That is correct. We'll be, this is going to be a proactive measure. It's not going to be a passive measure. The city's not going to wait for people to come to us. We would encourage residents, whether it's residential property or non-residential property, to go ahead, come forward, get your application put in quick. That way you get through quickly. If you wait, then, and you get put on a list, and we will, the city is in the process of making a list of those properties that are of concern to the city, then chances are you're going to have a slower processing of your application. So we encourage everybody to, if you know you have a vacant property, come see community development, and we will get you the documentation. We can start processing it, and it'd be a lot quicker to get it done sooner rather than later.
So how do we enforce the, I mean, because there's some properties within my district that they've already, 4 times, 5 times we've had to deal with them. When they neglect to follow these, what are the processes at that point? I mean,
Depending on what the status of the property is. So if the property is not a nuisance and it's not declared to be a hazard to the community, if it's been reviewed by the fire marshal, by police, by code enforcement, it's not deemed to be any type of a nuisance or danger, then what you're looking at simply is just having to obtain this vacant building maintenance license on an annual basis. If you have some more severe problems, if you've got something that amounts to a nuisance or danger, then our new code enforcement officer has already begun sending out letters initially just to try to elicit voluntary compliance. But there's always the city's ability to abate a nuisance property. And I can tell you, we've already created the structure for that. That will be forthcoming, and we've already identified some properties that are of major concern. So I expect that's going to be moved on very quickly.
and I guess, and I totally agree with this. I mean, as I said, of course you've updated it, now that you've presented it to us, but the enforcement issue is kind of the issue that I see, within the city, that some of these property owners, for them to get that insurance and stuff like that, if they don't, I think that's where we really have to, come strong on them.
Well, we have some issues here in Las Vegas due to the historical nature of a lot of the buildings. Some of these buildings, especially on Bridge Street and down around the plaza, they rely on each other for load-bearing walls. So if you've got one building that's starting to cave in and give, you've got a problem with all those houses up and down Bridge Street, or not the houses, but the buildings. So because we have that unique architecture here in Las Vegas, we're going to really have to take some protective measures to make sure that there's not one person on the street who is putting in jeopardy the structural stability and the safety of all those other buildings.
Thank you, Aaron, for your work on this. It's something that we've needed, and now it all depends on the enforcement, and hopefully we get that going. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott, for all your work on this. Mr.
I
Mateo.
just had one question. Can the fees be looked at a later date if they seem to be too high or anything like that?
That would be the pleasure of the council. If for some reason this ends up being problematic for some reason, then the council can always take it back under advisement, and we can go from there.
Okay.
The point of this is to de-incentivize the property owner. If they don't want to pay the fee, then do something with the property. If they don't want to pay the fee and get a license, then sell it, donate it, do whatever.
Yeah, and I know because I reported to two businesses, Subway, for instance, on 7th Street, and also the Bell Station over on 5th Street, which has like 5-foot weeds on there. And I know that the city of Las Vegas already moved forward on notifying these out-of-state people, owners, about those buildings. So, again, thank you. It's a long time coming. I don't think we've done anything since we did the abatements back in 2006. So, thank you for your work, and we'll proceed.
This is exciting. Thank you so much for your work, Scott, and Bill, and Bill. All right?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve publication of ordinance number 20-07.
There's a motion by Mr. Romero. Second, please.
Second?
Second by Mr. Levari. Roll call, please.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero, a second by Counselor Ulibarri Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
I'm excited about that one, sorry.
It's just for publication. Mr. Mayor, next item on the agenda, item 3, approval, disapproval of Main Street annual contract. We have our Community Development Director, Bill Hendrickson.
Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd like to recognize Michael Pontu, who's in the audience, the Director of Main Street. Welcome, Michael.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I just want to comment, this ordinance we just passed is the easy part.
Yeah.
More to come.
Yeah.
More to come. So I'm here today to present the Main Street contract, annual contract that's up for renewal, and along with their new statement of work. I'd like to just make one comment. I think Michael can verify, you may want to speak to it, that one of the things that Main Street does for our community, they're doing right tonight, Michael, with the cash mob, and they brought in $28,000 already to our businesses by promoting their products on Facebook and people bidding on them and paying for them. So they're doing a good job for the community with just that one project, let alone all the other projects they're working on with great blogs and so forth. So I'm here tonight to ask the council to approve their contract for another year.
I have a comment and maybe a more of a concern, Michael, that has come up in conversation among the governing body as well, is, the west side of Las Vegas is always lacking a little bit in many ways. But I just want to, express my concern that the west side of Las Vegas is equally as important, and as a lot of the tourists in the community visit the west side of Las Vegas. And along with the Castaneda and the Douglas area and all that stuff. And I would just ask that if there is any way that you could maybe open up to some ideas as to what we can do to promote the Main Street program and the community, the West Side community.
Sure. Well, we are responsible for 3 districts, so the Plaza, Douglas Street, and then the Railroad District. And those are our 3 areas. And Main Streets traditionally are, in the downtown areas, are the main streets of the little towns, whether it's Tucumcari or Clovis or wherever. But we can do things that reach out. And, and I was talking to Kathy Hendrickson, and we were talking about tours the other day because people want to tour the west side as much as they want to tour the east side. So I think there's ways that we can think about it, and I think it's a good thing to bring up because it's a really important section of town. Historically, it's really important. So I think there's ways that we can talk about that.
Okay.
To help.
I appreciate it.
I mean, we're aware, I'm definitely aware, and I've toured it a bunch, and there's just really fantastic buildings and so much history on that side of town.
Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate it. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Uwari?
Yes, on the Main Street, how you're talking, sir, they just concentrate on Main Street. They don't concentrate on nothing else.
But when we do things, it reaches out. So we raise money and do things like we're getting ready to do the Great Blocks work in the Railroad District. And it's a $2.2 million project, but it's focused on Railroad Avenue and Lincoln. But when we're sort of, by the nature of what we do, we're focused on the downtowns to keep those alive and to keep the businesses alive. That's why we're doing Cash Mob, because the businesses were having so much trouble. And so we're doing things like Cash Mob to sort of save the businesses in the downtown district.
But I do understand that, but the thing is that this has been going on for years and years. They only concentrate on the main streets, on the streets. They don't go out and do anything else on the farther west or farther south or whatever, It's all in the main street. I know you have all the businesses there, but how about the rest of the?
But like we're doing all of Railroad Avenue is not traditionally the main street. It's away from our traditional main streets, but but the Railroad District was included, I think through my predecessor, through Cindy, it was included in it was added as a downtown in the 3 districts.
Look at this, how about our farmers market up at Hot Springs? That, we need a lot of attention on that.
Right.
But you guys never bring that up,
Right.
So, it's all in Main Street, they don't go out to see what else the city's doing.
We're actually part of a national, there's 2,400 of us around the country, and in all those communities, in every state, we focus on the main streets. I mean, that's sort of what our area of focus is, but it always goes beyond that. Whether we're directing tourists to see the west side, or whether we're working with other organizations to do things, or even working when we did the work that we did on the Carnegie Library, we reach out sort of beyond our districts too, when we can. But we're relegated based on our mission to the 3 downtowns.
Well, I hope you guys could go out and look at the rest of the west side, even the east side,
And I did bring you, I just wanted to leave these because I didn't know about this until. I'd like to do a presentation at some point for City Council like Leah just did, because I thought that was a great presentation. That these are, can I hand these to you?
Sure.
So this is just a list. It's not visual, and I like visuals. So, and also included in this, we're getting ready to we're bringing in an architect from New Mexico Main Street to work with the mayor on painting the 3 gazebos, which are not in the downtown district except the one on the plaza. So we do reach out sometimes, so that the architect's going to work with the city on the colors for the Bridge Street Bridge and for the 3 gazebos.
South Pacific.
That's free, we get it free through.
Yeah, Plaza, South Pacific, Lincoln, gazebos.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's coming tomorrow.
Or is he?
Yeah, we're coming here at 3 o'clock.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Any other comments, Michael?
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Mayor. On this contract, it says the city of Las Vegas will appoint a designated ex-official position seat as a non-voting member of the Main Street. Who is that person?
Go ahead.
That's yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're saying that all of my ward, which is from Mills Avenue all the way north to the Gallinas River, from Grand Avenue, that's not included in any projects or anything that you guys do?
It's 3 downtowns.
It's just
And they counted the railroad district as a downtown.
So the
So
business
it's all
owners,
Douglas Avenue, Bridge Street, around the plaza, and then Lincoln and Grand.
so the business
And then
owners,
it's railroad.
so all the business owners and the business community up and down 7th and in Grand and all
We
these areas.
promote all that, like on our website and on our Facebook. We do that, like we just did a thing on the El Fidel. So we can do it that way, and we promote businesses that way, but we're focused on the 3 districts.
Council, can I add something to that?
Sure.
So the Main Street, and as Michael mentioned, by their mission, they are really relegated to those areas. If they would go out and to get money as Main Street through the Main Street program, which is where a lot of this funding comes from, it wouldn't get funded because it's outside their area. What Las Vegas has done in the past is had organizations like the Economic Development Corporation and the Chamber to work with those businesses outside those areas, and outside the Main Street areas. And we, of course, we know what's happened to those organizations. They were unfunded and they went away. And so you lost that ability. But, you know, we're trying to get the chamber up and running, and I hope at some point, if we got some interest in the community, to bring Economic Development Corporation or its like back to life, so we can invest in those areas. And we got somebody who can focus on those.
Well, I like the fact that you mentioned that you need to be more transparent with mayor and council, because I feel like we're left out of the picture.
Who's left out?
That the city, mayor and council are left out on a lot of things that are going on over there. And like the administration fees and all that, where do all those come out from?
I'm sorry?
The administration fees for all these projects that they do.
So, do you want me to, I can talk to you
Sure,
about that.
sure.
So we're doing a great blocks project. It's a $2.2 million project to renovate the railroad district. We've gotten awarded in the last year and a half, we've gotten $16,000. So we're getting ready to do an RFE for proposals, and we're going to start the construction, we hope, like by October, if we're lucky, by October. So, I mean, that's one thing we're doing. We've been transparent with, I haven't been to do a presentation, and I need to come to a presentation, and I just handed them everything, pretty much everything that we're working on. We're also doing the wayfinding project, and we've raised $76,000 for that through the Lazarus tax, and those were public meetings. The whole city came and voted on the signs that are going to be put up. So that's happening, and we're about to go out for RFP with that too, to start the construction and fabrication of the signs. So we're not, I mean, I will come and do a presentation for the mayor and for the council easily. I mean, I would have done it today if I just known a little sooner that today was on the agenda, but I would absolutely do a presentation.
You would be welcome.
Because I didn't get a copy of your projects
okay.
list.
And the other thing I was going to tell you, Mayor, is I've been working with Preservation Magazine, which is the magazine of the Historic National Trust, and it's this magazine. We're getting ready to come to a big story on Las Vegas.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you. Yes.
I had a question. You mentioned that you're the ex officio, Mr.
Yes.
And don't take this personal, I'm just asking, is your wife a member of Main Street?
No.
Okay, because, you know, and just in the community, there's been, you know, something about conflict, I just want to make sure we clear that up. The other question that I had was pertaining to the scope of work. On the scope of work, you know, we do have the districts here that are listed. And I know at one time at the wayfindings meeting, there was discussion about a second wayfindings coming through South Pacific, if I'm correct?
there's
The possibility?
So the wayfinding is, the initial one is like 7 signs that are all close in. They direct you to the plaza, to Douglas Street,
But
to the visitor center. The second, it fans out. So the next round would go like Mills, and would come around on New Mexico. So it's going to just fan out as we expand it. But the first 7 signs, that's
and I
taken
know-
10 years to get to, is going to just cover the main areas, because people don't know how to get to the
But
plaza.
I remember a discussion about possibly having that entrance through South Pacific coming into the plaza area.
Is there, say it again, because I can't hear.
Having a second entrance from the interstate through South Pacific into the plaza.
Yeah, I mean, that is an entrance. We're working with DOT on the signs on I-25 to sort of direct people to the university exit, but it will also direct people to the first exit if you're coming from the north to the first exit that way. So,
I could have sworn there was like a second.
we did a presentation for the last council, but I can come and do a presentation I can bring in the people from surroundings that are doing the wayfinding, and they can do a presentation, and it's super clear what they've done, because it's a science, basically, but it would be great to come and do a visual presentation so you see where everything is. Even in the phases, sort of, where it is.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, he came a year ago, so, or a year and a half.
And then I still, in the scope of work, that's what I'm looking at, it says implement and manage facade, streetscape improvements, and in here it mentioned about 3 buildings, improvements to exterior vacant buildings for a minimum of 3 buildings. Are those buildings, do those have to be specifically, are they chosen, how are those buildings chosen? Do they have to be from members of Main Street, or?
It's any business any building
Within
in the
the area.
district.
Okay.
The ugliest
What
ones.
we've done, so we did 2 workshops on the empty building ordinance. And we brought the building owners in, and we brought a property specialist in, and that property specialist worked with the building owners on issues with their buildings. So we have access to all these specialists. The architect that's coming tomorrow to talk about the gazebos, we're allowed to have access to him for free to come and work with our town. So we bring people in like that. We also bring social media people in, and we just work with people with the same landscaping team that's doing the Riverwalk. We're working with them on 2 projects right now, too.
Let me just say something on that, Councilor, because a lot of times buildings that are chosen are basically chosen by those that are willing to participate. So we've actually approached certain businesses because we thought that they would be they'd be a good candidate for a facade, and they take offense at it. And so often it's we go around and ask, but it's those that are mostly people that are willing to participate.
And the way that those buildings are selected are the ones that are dilapidated, that look terrible.
Right.
That they want to put a facade on, to paint it, to make it look like it's holding up.
The biggest thing we did was the E. Romero Firehouse, and we helped raise $400,000 for that. But we started on that with the facade squad. They went and they painted on the front of the building what it could look like. And then we were part of the campaign to raise the money. We brought Main Street in, and we helped all that happen, which was a great example of why do you do the facade squad? Because you want people to be able to dream and see what that looks like, and then you want to be able to do it. So E. Romero, and we're still working with E. Romero on the museum.
Anything else, anybody? Mr. Montoya?
I just want to see a presentation from them
All right.
as to everything that they do.
We'll schedule a
to
presentation.
Mayor and Council. That way we're all on the same page.
Right, and you're caught up on where we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What's the pleasure of the council?
I just had one question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Did and I'm pretty sure it stayed the same, but just for the record, the amount 30,000 and 5,000 in kind, that's remained the same?
Yes.
Been the same for 10 years.
That's it.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
approve the Main Street annual contract.
Thank you, Mr. Ulibarri. There's a motion. Second by Mr. Montoya. Roll call, please.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Ulibarri Jr., a second by Counselor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Michael, thank you for all you do for our community. I appreciate everything.
I enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. See you tomorrow. Next item?
Mr. Mayor, next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of Resolution 20-48 and Municipal Arterial Program, which is the MAP grant offer agreement administered by the New Mexico Department of Transportation. We have Daniel Goulet, our Public Works Manager.
Welcome, Mr. Ulibarri. Thank you for being here again.
Thank you, guys. Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm here seeking approval of resolution number 2048 to assure availability of funds for the Mountain View project, which is the map that we did receive from the DOT.
Thank you.
And I stand for any questions.
Any questions? What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
And this project was on the ICIP?
Yes, sir.
Just there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to approve Resolution 2048.
Motion by Mr. Montoya, second, please.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, a second by Counselor Olivari Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Mr. Gurule?
We have item 5 that also Mr. Goodlev will be presenting, approval, disapproval of resolution 2049, request for a match waiver regarding the Mexico DOT grant agreement L400525.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm here seeking approval of Resolution 2049 for the match waiver of the MAP grant. I'll stand for any questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Romero?
I make a motion for approval of Resolution 2049.
There's a motion by Mr. Romero. I'll entertain a second.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Mr. Montoya. Roll call, please.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero, a second by Counselor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
And Mr. Gurule, you'll never leave the room without me saying thank you to all your staff. You guys are doing a wonderful job,
Thank you,
and
guys.
please keep it up. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, next item on the agenda is item 6, approval, disapproval of resolution 20-50 to declare the Keep Las Vegas Beautiful program as a Keep America Beautiful affiliate. We have Maria Dobry, our utilities person.
Maria, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Manager. I'm here today to request approval on Resolution 2050 to declare the Keep Las Vegas Beautiful program as a Keep America Beautiful affiliate. This will allow us to move forward with completing our bylaws, setting up a committee, being able to schedule events. We're already doing a lot of that right now, but we're not doing that fully under the umbrella of Keep America Beautiful, so it could potentially be impacting our funding. So we'd like to go ahead and move forward with this, receiving the council's support and declaration in this endeavor.
So Maria, just years ago, I was on Keep America Beautiful, Keep Las Vegas Beautiful for years, and we already had existing bylaws and existing, I don't know if we just need to dust them off or what we need to do, but I'd hate to have to reinvent the whole wheel.
And correct, Mayor, that's what Alvin is doing, is he's taking them and just cleaning them up a little bit, making sure the language is current, making sure that there's any questions or concerns or administrative corrections. So the bylaws have already been through the city attorney, and I believe they've been through the city attorney, and we're just moving forward with the
And
rest.
thank you for doing this. It's a very important program for our community.
Alvin's excited about this. This
Yes.
is one of his passions.
We're going to keep him busy.
Apologize, he couldn't be here today, he's on vacation, and
That's all right.
I don't think I can get
Mr.
hold
Romero?
of him.
I don't know, I think you kind of answered my question, but I'll ask this. So this position, at one time, there was a position for it. Are we going to hire a new position, or are we going to tack it on?
Alvin is the Keep America Beautiful coordinator.
So he's kept that title even though we haven't had the...
He has that title now. He reapplied for that position, and we moved him back into that position, so.
Okay.
And how long have we been without this position, without this program?
It's been probably, I'd be estimating about 4 years, I think, since the last time we were actually seeking funding and a member of the...
Well, I'm glad you're resurrecting it.
Maria?
Anything else, Mr. Romero?
Just kind of what happened? I mean, what happened with it that we...
I
is it just-
can't answer that, Counselor. It might have just got lost in the mix. We were still doing events like the Amnesty Days and cleanups and events like that. We just didn't stay an affiliate.
So Mr. Girones will be addressing all the grants that
Yes.
we are available
Yep.
to get?
Yes, and he's already working with Elizabeth Juarez on some things related to the Keep America Beautiful.
Yeah, and I'd like to see if we could get the schools involved.
Absolutely.
Get some grants for the kids to join in and help us out, because this is an awesome program if we make it work. I mean, grants will come to us for trash bags and gloves and stuff like that. you know.
Absolutely.
And-
Absolutely, Counselor.
I'm glad to hear that we're resurrecting it. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, what, and I know, you know, we kind of, they told us about that glass recycling thing that Isaac Sandoval and some others have put, I guess all put in together.
Some owners bought a
Are they gonna-
crusher,
Yes.
a glass crusher, and they're using
Correct.
it.
I had met with them, with the city manager, and they bought a glass crusher, and they were able to work with Isaac. We were trying to help them out in any way that we could support them, and we are still available to support them in any way that we can.
Yeah.
So we have been working with them.
Well, he lined his patio with it, and it looks really, really cool. That ground glass is just, it's beautiful, actually. All the different colors in it and everything. What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Leary?
To approve resolution 20-50.
There's a motion by Mr. Leary.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Mr. Montoya. Roll call, please.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Olivari Jr., a second by Counselor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is 7, approval, disapproval of resolution 20-52, donating liquefied natural gas station equipment to EMW Gas Association. We have Gilbert.
Hello, councilors. Mr. Manager, I'm here with Jude Herrera. He is
Hi, Jude, welcome.
Hello, Mayor and Councilors.
Thanks for being here.
one of our gas superintendents, and so he'll be able to answer some of your questions. But we're here today to request approval on Resolution 2052, which will allow us to donate our natural gas station equipment to EMW, which is Estancia Estancia, I wrote it down because I was forgetting it.
Is it no longer in use?
Estancia, Moriarty, and Willard. So, Jude will be able to give you a little bit of history on that. First thing I wanted to address was that when I submitted this, I had mistitled it as liquefied natural gas. It is a compressed natural gas system. So, first thing is we will change that in the resolution before requesting signature. But we did receive this equipment back in 1993 under funding. And Jude again can talk about why the last time it was used was about 2010.
So we had gotten funding in 2008 to put a gas card reader, but there's also a gas pump involved with it. We didn't get the funding for the pump, and it worked for another year or so, and then the pump went down. It was going to cost the city roughly $25,000 to $30,000 to refurbish the pump and stuff. We weren't making the funding we weren't generating the fund to even handle the maintenance of it. So we brought it to Mayor and Council in 2011 and they denied it. So it's been sitting there since then. EMW showed interest because they want something in their corridor as far as a different source of gas. And this was all funded to the city through grants to promote a different source of gas other than gasoline.
Okay.
And my understanding is that in 2010, we had one final customer. That's all we had was one customer, and she went ahead and sold the vehicle she was using. So, and any other customers we had prior to that were actually having some issues with the conversion. I think their engines were having some issues.
And the one thing we do have is we do have people that are coming from out of state because we are in a map system and we are part of the corridor. So they're calling us and asking us, but on the website it's not stating there that it's inoperable. And we're still getting a lot of some feedback, some traffic, but we can't utilize it to assist them. So best thing would be to let somebody else use that equipment.
Could we update the stuff on the website to make sure that people know that it's not available to them?
We've asked for them to do that.
That's with the state, or is that with what entity?
No, this is us.
Okay, yeah, we'll fix that.
Bill, could that happen?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the council?
I had one question, and I know we received a letter from, I guess, Eddie O'Brien.
Yes.
He's with the association, and he does say that there's no problem, no violation of the anti-donation clause. I just wanted to, I guess, ask our mayor, if I may ask our legal, he concurs with that opinion?
Scott?
No, I don't believe so. This is a nonprofit corporation which is comprised of 3 government entities.
So you're okay with it?
I don't think we have a problem there.
Okay. Thank you.
And if I might, the other letter you should have received is from Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resources Department, which facilitated the funding back in the early 90s, and they are in support of us doing this transfer as well.
I believe that's the letter we were referring to.
That was from Luis Martinez.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve resolution 20-.
There's a motion by Mr. Romero. Second, please. Second by Mr. Montoya. Roll call, please.
Counselor Leopold Jr.,
Yes.
Counselor Romero,
Yes.
Counselor Montoya.
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero, a second by Counselor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And we will fix the language on the resolution for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jude. Thanks for all you do for the city. I appreciate it.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, approval, disapproval to award request for proposals number 2020-14 to Solar Proposer Glorieta Geoscience Incorporated. Maria Gilbert.
Maria?
Mayor, councilors, in June, we submitted for, requesting for an RFP for hydrology services, and we had one proposer, and that was Glorieta Geoscience. They are our current provider as well. We currently have them under contract, and they've been doing tremendous work for us on, they helped us with our 40-year plan, our conservation plan. They did some work on story and remand, as well as they're currently working with the city on our ETZ and water budget proposals and guidelines, as well as we've had some water rights items that have come up. So they're an on-call service for us as we need them. And to give an idea of last year, with all of these items, we spent $47,000 with Glorieta Geoscience. This work is on-call, so it'll be based on whatever our needs are. So it could be a little bit of work, or it could be a lot of work. They did a lot of work with us over the last few years, so we're down to a few projects, along with water rights, which always are on the table.
Comments, questions, concerns?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If I may ask, and I don't know, maybe it's just our copy, but it's not signed by legal, I don't know, on the request. I don't know. Did he review this contract?
I did review it.
Okay, all right.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to award request for proposals at 2020-14 for professional consulting hydrologist services.
Okay. There's a motion by Mr. Romero. I need a second, please.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Mr. Montoya. Roll call, please.
Counselor Leopold Jr.,
Yes.
Counselor Montoya,
Yes.
Counselor Romero.
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero, a second by Counselor Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Our last business item on the agenda is approval, disapproval to award request for proposals 2020-13 to sole proposer Minucci Law Firm, PC. We have Ms. Mindy Gilbert.
Maria?
Thank you, Mayor. This one advertised at the same time. On June 12th, we advertised, we had one proposer, which was Dominici. We did bid opening on July 8th, and the services we're requesting was water right consulting and legal services. They have been our legal, water rights legal for 4 years now, and they as well have been doing tremendous work with us. Many of the items that our hydrologist works on, our legal also works with. So same things, story, our water plan, our 40-year plan, our conservation program, our conservation plan, and we did have some water rights items that came up last year. The U.S. actually challenged water rights for several water rights owners, which included the city of Las Vegas. And so they helped us get those challenges addressed. And also, last year, we spent $3,000 with Dominici. I know that the amount we spend on our legal sometimes is under question, and I want to make sure we're clear with that. Last year, we spent $3,000.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Montoya?
That last comment, what, did you repeat that?
I know sometimes people have questions about how much money we spend on legal services, and so I wanted to make sure I was clear that last year we spent $3,000.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, I just had one question. Is there a set total that we're setting aside for this contract? I know there's an hourly rate in the information, but not, is there a set?
No, sir. We have it based on as needed.
Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to award the request.
Okay, there's a
20-13.
There's a motion by Mr. Montoya. Second, please.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Counselor Montoya,
Yes.
Counselor Romero,
Yes.
Counselor Leopold Jr.
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, second by Counselor Leopold Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
And Maria, you also, you will never leave this room without being thanked for all your hard work and all your employees. Everybody at solid waste, the water, wastewater, park, the streets, everything. Please take time to recognize You're a good employee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you for coming in on your vacation.
Mr. Mayor, next item on the agenda is executive session. If there is a need.
What's the pleasure of the council? No executive session. Next item, please.
Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Leroy.
I make a motion to adjourn.
There's a motion by Mr. Leroy. Second by Mr. Montoya. Roll call, please.
Councilor Romero? Councilman Fire?
Yes.
Councilor Uribarri Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Uribarri Jr. and a second by Councilman Fire. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
And thank you, Cassandra, for everything you do. I appreciate it.